really moving song for me. Paul McCartney wrote that after the Beatles were in America and saw how we treated our Black brothers and sisters. And that inspired that song. So it's a lovely, it opens our hearts a little bit more as we move into meditation this morning. And we draw our attention to our heart space, the center of our being. So just take a nice deep breath. Breathing in and releasing all the busyness of this morning. And just be here right now in this holy instant, this holy moment, where we allow ourselves to feel the presence and power of God that moves in and through us as us. We are the expressions of life, of light, of love. We allow our very active mind to just be. We don't try to stop our thoughts. We simply move them into coherence with our heart as we breathe and we feel the body. Say thank you. Thank you. And that allows us to open the flow of spirit, allows us to hear that still small voice within us, where we can acknowledge a sense of overwhelm and bring it back to the center. Feel it start to quiet down. As we take this moment to step aside from the swirling happenings in the world, the happiness, the sadness, the worry. Just breathe as you have a friendly chat with your precious, tender, loving, and honest. When was the last time that you opened your arms and opened your heart and maybe even looked in the mirror and said, "I love you"? That reflects back to us and through us as the eternal love that we are. It all begins right here in this moment. And so as we move into silence, as the thoughts rise up, just say thank you for sharing and allow them to move on. Acknowledge and release in the silence. Breathing in and breathing out. And we know that we evolve from the cycle of fight and flight, or fear, to the space of love, compassion for ourselves and for others. We evolve every time we take time in the silence for this understanding and practice. We are grateful to be aware and awake to the truth of our being. And we let go now, knowing it is so, and gratefully so it is. Amen and
Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take me sunken eyes and learn to see all your life. You were only waiting for this moment to be. It's in every one of us to be one. Find your heart, open up both your eyes. We can all know everything without ever knowing why. It's in every one of us, by and wide. It's in every one of us to be free. Find your heart, open your eyes and see. We can all know everything without ever knowing how. It's in every one of us, here and now. It's in every one of us, here and now.
it is every one of us, right here and right now. Right here, right now. Did you love this song, Everybody In? Peter Mayer is the composer, the singer, that his work is wonderful. And it was just a great start. Everybody in. There's really never been anybody out, except in our minds, right? There's never anybody out unless we put them there. And you know what we usually do the most is put ourselves out. I don't belong. I don't think that I can do this. We put ourselves out of the circle. And today, and every day, we can put ourselves right back in as we shift our thoughts, as we take a moment and breathe. Always. And we're not in it alone. So as we begin this third Sunday of Lent, and this new month, which is just shocking. It's a new month. We begin the third Sunday of Lent. And so today, get your passports ready. If you haven't got a passport, we've got them. And you should have gotten your passport. We stamped France that we did in February. And then we did Israel and in March, and now we're doing Palestine. And there's a little basket of stickers, I think, somewhere around right back there. The ushers or greeters can show you if you want to keep track and notes or whatever in your little passport. I guess part of me, I was the ministry director for many years, and I always think of ways that we can kind of keep things fresh. And so I hope you enjoy the passport program each year. So so that's what we're going to do first. We're going to look at shine our love and light on the country of Palestine and the evolution of transformation in us and all. Then we will take a look at what the evolution of transformation means to our world by redefining a word that we're all too familiar with, pandemic. Heard that word before? So we're going to look at a little different angle of that. And then I'll close with a poem by Maya. So I chose Israel as our focus in March and Palestine this month because they're two countries in the Middle East that have a highly concentrated areas of biblical history. And this 2 months is, we metaphysically interpret the story of Jesus's march really to his death. The death that we interpret as the death of we crossing out cross that no longer serve us. But we have this physical picture of sweet Jesus hanging on that cross. But don't we hang ourselves on crosses all the time? Yeah, we do. In little ways and big ways. So we get to come down off of that cross. But those areas, Jerusalem, and all those amazing, they're all in Palestine. So, I knew that. But when I think of the Middle East, I just think of hot deserts, which I love, friend, and political unrest and war and violence. But I thought it's always important to me that we don't generalize people. We don't generalize states or cities. We don't generalize. We have to sink down into our hearts and say, there's people just like me there. It's so very important. So the reality that is behind this whole year of our looking at other countries and never losing sight of our own country as we pray deeply and get to know the people in our hearts. How many of you have been to Palestine? I know one person here has. Anybody else been to the Holy Land? I have not. Like the deserts, it's not my first choice. Even though I lived in the high desert, Boise, I lived in the valley in Idaho. So there are three main religions in Palestine: Islam, Judaism, and Christianity. With Islam being a major religion in Palestine, as Muslims comprise 85% of the population of the West Bank, and then when Israeli settlers, we included them, that's 99% of the population of the Gaza, which is always a place of contention between Israel and Palestine. They don't share well. People who practice Islam are called Muslims. Just like those who practice Christianity are called Christians, the word Islam means submission to the will of God. Oh, that's a tough one. Surrender. Submission to the will of God. Followers of Islam are called Muslims, and Muslims are Monotheistic. I don't know why I say that word all the time. It means one God. And they worship one all-knowing God who in Arabic is known as Allah. Followers of Islam aim to live a life of complete submission to Allah. But I think the catch is, like all religions, there's so many interpretations of what the will is. Obviously, for Israel and Palestine, they have a way different way of they don't share. They think that the property that is holy land is theirs. No, it's mine. No, it's mine. No, it's mine. So Islam comes from the root Arabic letters SLM, which are the same root letters from the word peace. Salam come from. The term Islam itself does not mean peace, but it implies that one finds peace, salam, through submission. Islam. Now, the people of Palestine, it's said to be one of the most amazing places on earth. It's a country where notable religious figures, Christians, Muslims, and Jews once walked on the earth, including Jesus, the Christ, Muhammad, the Prophet, and King David. Those are a lot of big name stars, huh? Yeah. Gaza's position on the crossroads between Asia and Africa have ensured that it has a history as troubled as it is long. Since the Canaanite period, which was 1200 to around 1200 years before Christ, it has been fought over, invaded, occupied by nearly all the powers that have marched across the Middle East. That's a long time. The unrest, though, continues to this day. And you know, the young people there have taken such an active role. We say, oh, the youth are our future. That kind of really degrades who they are and what they're doing now. Young Palestinians are not just the future. They're the present. To refer to young people, all young people, only as the future diminishes the important role they're already playing in Palestine and in our United States and every country in the world. Throughout the Middle East, they are trying to reshape their societies and challenge political realities. Yay. Their young people are neither passive victims nor violent extremists. They are leaders, activists, students, artists, and here's the best word, engaged. That just gives me goosebumps. Engaged citizens, and that's what we all are, can be. They're ready to challenge the status quo, not only for the future, but for the immediate present. Okay. Getting a little sense of Palestine? I mean, it's not a history lesson, but wow, it's so interesting to read about Palestine. It almost made me wanted to go and visit it. Some of these places. So let's shift our focus for a moment now to see what we can do to evolve and move humanity forward. Move humanity forward. That's all of us. Like these brave, committed youth are doing, and their parents. They grew up with this, and they're finding a new way. Let's envision and act in ways that youth and adults in the United States and all countries have the passion to create a more peaceful world. So that takes me to the second point of my sharing with you today, and that's creating a new type of pandemic. The dictionary definition of pandemic is something that is prevalent throughout the entire country, continent, or the whole world over a large area. So let's not assume that this is only disease that is called a pandemic. See, we make this stuff all up. So how do we make it up good? Some of the synonyms for pandemic are broad, common, whole, sweeping, all-inclusive, widespread. See where I'm going? Yeah. Let's create a widespread, full-on, inclusive pandemic of love. If a deadly virus can quickly spread around the world, fueled by fear and denial, and leave dis-ease in its wake, I affirm, and please affirm with me, that a pandemic of love can spread even more quickly, rising up with peace, compassion, and love in its wake. Where do we begin? We say, ask. That's always the question. And you know what I'm going to say. It's in every one of us. What I know to be true is that although spirituality and spiritual practice is simple, it's the actions that we may be called to take that give us this fear, I think, of surrender. It gives us this fear of saying, yes, God, yes. It's your will and your way, except unless it's that. I don't want to do that. No, sorry, maybe next year, right? And it's not all scary stuff that is ours to do. But we just don't like the unknown, even though that's what life is. We can rely on God's strength and take time apart to hear what is ours to do, like the youth of Palestine and other countries where the norm throughout their history was violence and fear. And yet the movement right now is taking the road that Gandhi took to free India. Love, compassion, nonviolence. The first battle, though, that Gandhi did, that dear little scared little man. And if you've read about Gandhi, you know he was a lawyer, and he was scared to pieces to get up in front of court. Scared him. He was not a brave, courageous guy. But he felt a stirring in him that he could not say no to, and started the peace movement to free. He couldn't, they kicked him off the train to let some British folks on. That was it. It's like, okay, I'm in. Everybody in, I'm in. So there's a couple steps here that I'm wild paraphrasing from author Shelley Tigaleski, who was the founder of the Pandemic of Love movement. So step one is to tend to the area of the garden you can reach. Tend to the garden of the area you can reach. That's a Buddhist tenet, a Buddhist proverb. Have you heard that one before? I've heard it before, but then you have to think about it a little bit. So it seems like maybe our garden is just a small plot, it's kind of insignificant, a blip on the radar in the grander world. Yet our inner world is as vast and colorful and space-filled with possibilities and energy that radiates out from us. Wow, our gardens are a lot bigger than we think they are. A lot more powerful. When we plant good seeds within our own heart of love, compassion, service, health, and wisdom, then we easily share our bounty with those in the outer garden. And that is often enough to start the healing that when we see things that feel are broken. in the garden where we can breathe. So that means bloom where you're planted, right here, right now. You don't have to go free a country to make a huge contribution to the peace of this world. Step 2 is remember, enough is a feast. Enough is a feast. We say something similar to that in our love offering every week. I am enough, I have enough, there is enough. And we can add now, enough is a feast. We give our lives meaning and cultivate our own well-being when we first recognize that when we share our gifts, that's our feast. Listen to your heart and you will know where and when to serve in your garden of life in the areas you can reach, knowing it's a feast every day. A piece of moving into your heart space, allowing the God-given love that is within us constantly streaming through us if we say yes. So number 3 is trust your ripples of influence. There's an old Sufi saying that I heard this years ago, and it really stuck with me. Because, trying to be a minister, go to start school, must be enlightened. The pressure we have. It's ridiculous. But the saying is, before enlightenment, you can kind of visualize some monks or somebody, whatever. Before enlightenment, chop wood and carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood and carry water. We're not going to just go, whoa, chop wood and carry water. We carry on with our lives. It's those little things. We say hello to thank you sincerely to the clerk when we get our groceries. It's all the little things that we do that sends those ripples out. It's not the chopping and the carrying that shifts the world. It's the attitude and loving kindness with which we do our daily rounds. We're aware and awake of what we say, how we say it, and are we going to do that every moment of every day? No. Because our human side goes, that's rude. So we forgive ourselves and we move on. Taking time apart is the impetus that moves us to right action. One person does shift so much confidence. Who has the capacity to throw the pebble in the pond that creates the ripple? We all do. If enough of us throw the pebbles of good into the pond, the ripple can become a wave, and the wave of change, the wave of love, the pandemic of love, might even call it a snow of love. That's a big wave. Our country is Palestine. Like its neighbor Israel, they need our life and love focused upon them. Feels like they're in a garden that we can't reach, but truly we can in consciousness. So they see each other as people, as individuals, not as a barrier to a piece of land. We pray that with them, just like we're praying with the Russians and the Ukrainian friends, right? With the collective consciousness and focus of individuals like you and me, we hereby begin a powerful pandemic of love and compassion. And all of it sweeps across and around the sport of ours, and it permeates all creatures, great and small. And we certainly want to send that love to Mother Earth. We want her healthy and happy. And so, I close today with a poem from Maya Angelou. And I think that's why I love it. Because, you know, I said a couple of times, we can't just put sugar over food of life. There's things that aren't pretty, that don't smell good. So we don't pretend like they do. We move within and we acknowledge it and we go forward. And so she calls it When We Come to It. And this is a poem from, it's called A Brave and Startling Truth. So take a breath. And let's just ride this wave with Maya. When we come to it, we, this people, on this minuscule, kithless globe, who reach daily for the bomb and the blade and the dagger, fishing in the dark for tokens of peace, we, this people, on this mote of matter, in whose mouths abide cankerous words, which challenge our very existence, yet out of those same mouths come songs of such exquisite sweetness that the heart falters in its labor and the body is quieted into awe. We, this people, on this small and drifting planet, whose hands can strike with such abandon that in a twinkling of an eye, life is sapped from living. Yet those same hands can touch with such healing, irresistible tenderness, that the mighty neck is happy to bow, and the proud back is happy to bend. Out of such chaos, of such contradiction, we learn that we are neither devils or divine. When we come to it, we as people on this wayward floating body have the power to fashion for this earth a climate where every man, woman, and child can live freely without sanctimonious hiding, without crippling fear. When we come to it, we must confess that we are the possible, that we are the miraculous, the true wonder of this world. That is when, and only when, we come to it. Now I ask, is everybody in? Amen.